Hey, what's up everyone? I hope you're all doing well. Today I want to make a video presenting my thesis on why I'm purchasing PureCycle stock. And I just, want to give you a friendly reminder that this is not financial advice. I am just a random guy on YouTube presenting my thesis on why I'm purchasing this particular stock. So I'm going to try to not make this video too complex. What I'll start this video with is just a high-level overview of my thesis. So, PureCycle is a water and wastewater utility company, and they service a few selected regions east of Denver. And they own the water rights, they own the water treatment facilities, they also happen to own some oil and gas mineral interests. And then they also own 930 acres of pretty valuable real estate that they call Sky Ranch. And so when Sky Ranch is all built out, it's currently being transformed into a master plan community. And it'll have about 3,200 homes and probably 1.7 million square feet of commercial. And so, given today's valuation of the stock, I think there's pretty reasonable line of sight that after they monetize all of their residential real estate, they will have enough money to build out all the commercial square footage, and all of that real estate plus the utility operations would be worth about 3 times its current market cap today. And then if the stars are aligned and certain catalysts come into play, this stock might actually be a 4x opportunity. So that's my 1-minute spew. Let's get into the details. So PureCycle has 3 separate business segments: real estate development, water and wastewater utility, and then oil and gas. So I'm going to start with the real estate portion, because that's kind of where all the value is being extracted right now. So they started with a 930 acre parcel called Sky Ranch. It's on the corner of the I-70 and Monaghan Road. And starting from 2017, they went to Arapahoe County and they basically got the land entitled. And now they're permitted to build 3,200 homes and about 1.7 million square feet of commercial space. So this is what the development would look like when it's all complete. And so they're going to build this in phases. Phase 1 is complete. It was 509 lots, and it went way better than expected. And PureCycle's role in all of this is to kind of come in and build the public infrastructure. That means they would build the roads, the curbs, the utilities, the lights, and whatnot. Then they would come and grade the land, and they would take each individual lot and they would sell it to a national home builder. And then they're the ones that would take it vertical. And so for every single one of these lots, for instance, in phase 1, they sold each lot for $72,000 and change. And then they also earned a utility connection fee called a tap fee. And so in Arapahoe County, when you build public infrastructure for a planned community, you eventually get reimbursed for those costs by the residents that ultimately live there. And so what happens is, if enough homes get sold, PureCycle sets up a taxing authority called a metro district, and these metro districts would go out and raise and issue bonds. And the proceeds from those bonds reimburse the developer for developing this public infrastructure, and then the residents would end up paying for these bonds through a tax or through a line item in their property tax bill. And so that's how these developers get reimbursed for establishing public infrastructure. And so if we just look at phase one, Pure Cycle made $36.7 million selling lots. It cost them $35.8 million to build all of this out, and $28.5 million was reimbursable. So that's the public infrastructure part. And so essentially they made 80% margins on selling the land, right? And so that 20% of the cost was basically for grading the land, and it was about $14,000 per lot. And so phase two is just getting started. I think it's about 805 homes or residential units. And there's a slide in their earnings report, and it shows their projections. They're going to make about $78.5 million at the end of phase two. And these numbers, if you go through the math, it makes sense just based on what happened in phase one. Some of the prices of these lots have increased in value since phase one to phase two. And so once phase one and two are done, you're roughly going to have about 1,840 residential units or whatnot. And then you'll have 1.7 million square feet of commercial. Now, what they're intending to do is to keep 100 lots and start a new business line segment or business segment. And these are going to be sort of built to rent homes. So they're going to keep the homes and they're going to rent them out and collect rental income. And it's their intention that they're going to keep about 100 of these. So you're just going to have to factor out, okay, they're going to sell 100 less lots, but in exchange, they'll get 100 homes that will be generating future income for them. And so for the remaining lots, I'll call it phase three. These are my estimates for the residential portion of the phase three. And you'll notice that I'm using a margin on the earned tap fees. And that's because when they collect the money, they have to use a portion of it to kind of build out the water infrastructure. And so when I calculate phase one and two, it's about a 62% margin. And so I'm using 50% just to be conservative. Okay, so at this point in the analysis, I start scratching my head. Let's say we're end of year 8 or 9 or whatever. And they've gone through phase 1, 2, and 3, and they've monetized all the residential lots. And they would have earned like more than $200 million, right? Just from that alone. And so now what you have left is 1.7 million square feet of commercial space, okay? That 1.7 is 1 million square feet of like retail, and then 750,000 of light industrial. Now, the CEO, Mark Harding, he's a pretty good capital allocator, and he's a pretty smart guy. It doesn't make any sense to me at that point that he would sell off the commercial for even more cash, because I mean, it doesn't make any sense at that point. What would probably make more sense is if maybe they sell off the light industrial and take the pile of money that they have and just build out the retail space. Build out the 1 million square feet of retail. And if they need like $250 per square foot, that's $250 million just to build it all out. And they have that money, and if they don't, they could take a small construction loan to do it. But 8 years from now, when all of this is built out, right? Because Sky Ranch is not out in the boonies all by itself. Everything around Sky Ranch is earmarked, has been purchased, there's already a development plan, everything is taken, okay? A whole area is going to be built out in the next decade. Not all of it, of course, but it's going to start densifying. So this commercial space, 8 years from now, fronting the I-70, it's a blend of big box retail and neighborhood retail. It's not inconceivable for me to think that they'll get $25 a square foot for the space. And so if it's all leased out, that's $25 million of net operating income to the company. And at a 5 cap, that's $500 million. And so if I just kind of sum up everything, the built-to-rent homes, the utility operations, and then this commercial retail space, that gets you to almost a 3x from today's valuation. And I haven't even touched on the oil and gas and sort of the water rights. So let me just briefly go into that a little bit. So where PureCycle operates happens to sit on top of very rich oil mineral deposits called the DJ Basin. And the DJ Basin is split between 4 different quadrants. And the mineral rights that we're kind of focusing on used to be controlled by ConocoPhillips. And then through a series of purchases and assignments, they were later controlled by Crestone. And then in 2021, Civitas and Crestone merged. And so now they're all controlled by Civitas. And Civitas is a public traded company. And so you can kind of take a look at their earnings report. And there's one particular slide that we should kind of pay attention to. So in the latest Civitas conference call, they're trying to build out, about 18 months worth of drilling inventory. So in this slide, it looks like it's about 1,000 wells, 1,000 operated locations. And what you see here is that Civitas is mainly focused on the southern, western, and eastern portion. Now, PureCycle's service area is the northwest quadrant of Arapahoe County, and so that overlaps with their southern region. And you can see that according to this slide, the southern region is about 42% of their future inventory. Now also note that at $55, when oil is at $55, the southern and western regions, these wells earn, between 43% to 66% internal rate of returns. And oil right now is at, 85, 88? So they're going to be earning even higher returns on these wells. And so there's almost no reason why they wouldn't drill these wells. And here's why this is important. Every time a driller come in and they pick a location that they want to drill, they have to use a lot of water to frack these oil formations. And so PureCycle happens to be a water provider in this area. And so when they provide water for these frackers, it's a lot of water. It's about $250,000 worth of water per pop, per well. And, again, they're going to be drilling a lot of these. And I'm not saying PureCycle will be the sole provider of, to all of these wells, but they might end up, providing a big portion of this high margin 70%, per $250,000 per well that they're going to be drilling. And so in addition to their basic municipal customers, that they're servicing, this just kind of layers on top of that. So that's one more thing to kind of keep in mind in how PureCycle can additionally monetize their water rights. So let me just touch on the water very briefly. Okay, PureCycle controls about 29,000 acre-feet of water supply. A big chunk of it is dedicated to serve this Lowry Range area, and then the remaining, the half of it or whatever, can be exported to serve other regions. 29,000 acre-feet can serve about 60,000 single-family equivalent connections, of which 5,000 is already serving Sky Ranch. Now, again, when you think about this area, everything else around Sky Ranch is already spoken for. Where is the future development going to come from? It just seems more likely than not that after 10 or 15 years, this water supply in Lowry Range is going to come into play. And it's going to become more and more important and more scarce and valuable. And just like Sky Ranch, for every single connection that they promise, they will earn a 30,000 tap fee for that connection. And so I'm not saying that, the calculus is 55,000 connections times $30,000 a pop. That would be insane. But what I'm saying is in the next, call it decade or two, development might start on Lowry Range, and who knows how far this is going to be taken. But without even factoring in the water stuff, I already think, the stock is a 3x just from today's price. I think Lowry Range is the future catalyst that might propel this return opportunity from a 3x to a 4x. So that's kind of the crux. So that's sort of the way I think about Lowry Range. And however many future connections they sell, you're going to have to discount that back to present value to kind of figure that out. And so that's my thesis on PureCycle. I hope you got something out of it. Look into the company. It's pretty interesting, the story the story of Sky Ranch, of how they purchased it through bankruptcy for $7 million. And it could potentially be worth like $500 million and more. It just shows what a great capital allocator Mark Harding is. And so I hope you get something out of this. And if you like these kind of videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.